In the heart of Canada's industrial landscape, the message delivered carried both urgency and ambition. The government presented a sweeping economic and industrial vision, one designed to shield the country from global uncertainty and propel it into a new era of prosperity. The speech touched on everything from international trade and defence to the housing crisis and climate competitiveness, laying out what officials described as a transformative plan for Canada's future. The remarks began by highlighting the country's strengths. Canada, the speaker emphasised, has state-of-the-art assembly expertise, Canadian skill and ingenuity, and a supply chain that makes heavy use of Canadian materials such as Quebec aluminum. Inside the facility where these remarks were made, workers were hailed not only for building aircraft, but for building the backbone of Canada's future. Their efforts, it was noted, stretch beyond production lines. They are crafting security for their families and laying a foundation for the nation's resilience. The vision was rooted in a sober acknowledgement of today's global challenges. The world, the official warned, is undergoing rapid and disruptive change. The United States, the globe's largest economy and Canada's most critical trading partner, is fundamentally reshaping its trading relationships. The speech framed this shift as a turning point in history, one that demanded decisive responses. The audience was reminded that the old model, an age when free trade fueled global growth, was giving way to something very different. The new reality was described as an age of economic nationalism and mercantilism. This transformation, the official added, was not an evolution, but a rupture, and its effect will be profound. The rupture was explained in stark terms. The United States has raised its tariff rates to levels unseen since the Great Depression of the 1930s. These tariffs now extend to nearly all goods and apply indiscriminately to all countries. The shift is not limited to tariffs alone. Now, countries seeking access to the US market must effectively purchase that access through direct investment, unilateral trade concessions, or policy adjustments in their domestic economies. This transformation in US policy is happening against the backdrop of broader upheaval, the rise of artificial intelligence and new technologies, climate-driven imperatives for green economic transitions, and shifting geopolitical alliances. Together, these forces are remaking the global economic order in ways that threaten established industries and livelihoods. The impact, the speaker stressed, is already visible. Workers displaced from their jobs, supply chains that have existed for decades disrupted, companies forced to change where they find their materials and their products. This wave of disruption, in turn, has slowed investment and hindered economic growth. A clear indicator was shared. Canada's own employment report from that very morning showed unemployment rising across regions and sectors, underscoring the urgency of action. Despite these challenges, Canada still retains advantages. We're in a position right now where Canada currently has the best trading deal with the United States of any of their trading partners. 85% of our trade with the US is now tariff-free, and we have the lowest tariff rate of any country in the world. Yet even this privileged position cannot shield Canada from the risks of overdependence. The rupture in global trade means the US can no longer be relied upon as before. A partnership once considered Canada's greatest strength is, in some sectors, becoming a vulnerability. Faced with this reality, the government declared a bold new path. This disruption calls for a bold new approach, the official stated. The guiding principle would be to focus on what Canada could control, strengthening itself from within. The strategy involves equipping workers and companies with the tools to succeed, retraining displaced workers, transforming strategic sectors, and creating new industries. A central theme ran through the message. Canadians must be their own best customers by buying Canadian products and investing in Canadian industries. To this end, the government outlined a far-reaching industrial strategy. The goal is to reduce dependence on the United States and build an economy more resilient to global shocks. The vision is of a future anchored on Canadian industries and workers, while also diversifying international trade partnerships to reduce vulnerability. The plan is ambitious and multifaceted. A key component is the launch of the Major Projects Office, tasked with fast-tracking nation-building initiatives. These projects, the audience was told, will be central to reshaping the country's economic landscape. Alongside this, the government will roll out Build Canada Homes, a new entity designed to tackle one of the nation's most pressing challenges, housing. This initiative aims to double the pace of housing construction over the next decade, while ensuring the work relies on Canadian technology, workers and resources such as domestic lumber. Defence also occupies a central role in the government's plans. The official announced that this fall, a new defence industrial strategy will be unveiled. The vision is clear: ensure that the billions earmarked for defence investments not only strengthen Canada's security, but also directly support Canadian industries and create sustainable jobs. Negotiations are set to begin this month on a new defence and security partnership with the European Union, an effort to anchor Canada more firmly within diversified alliances and reduce over-reliance on the US. At the same time, trade diversification is a major pillar. A new strategy is being rolled out to develop fresh export markets, extending Canada's global reach and insulating its economy from shocks in any single region. Climate competitiveness is another cornerstone. Soon, the government will release its climate competitiveness strategy, positioning Canada as a leader in decarbonisation and the global green transition. The breadth of the announcements underscores a central conviction: Canada's future cannot be left vulnerable to external shifts beyond its control. The way forward, the government insists, is through decisive, coordinated and ambitious domestic action. Our new government is embarking on an ambitious plan to secure a new era of prosperity out of this age of adversity, the Speaker declared. At the heart of the plan is a promise to Canadian workers. Retraining programs will prepare them for industries of the future. Strategic investments will ensure sectors like aerospace, aluminium, housing and defence are built around domestic capacity rather than external dependency. New industries will be nurtured, supported by government backing, and positioned to thrive globally. This approach is not isolationist, but pragmatic. By strengthening itself at home, Canada aims to engage the world from a position of resilience and strength. It will continue to pursue global partnerships, but those partnerships will be structured around Canada's interests, not vulnerabilities. The future envisioned is one where Canadian aluminium, technology and workers are not just participants in global trade, but leaders in shaping it. The challenges ahead are not understated. The rupture in global trade, the rise of protectionism, and the accelerating pace of technological and environmental change are daunting. Yet, the message delivered carried confidence that Canada could rise to meet them. The tools, skills, industries, resources, and ingenuity are already in place. What remains is to harness them through bold policy and decisive action. As the address concluded, the audience was left with a sense of both urgency and determination. The nation stands at a crossroads: cling to outdated dependencies or seize the chance to reinvent itself for a new era. The government made its choice clear. With a comprehensive industrial strategy, housing and defence reforms, new trade diversification and climate leadership, Canada aims not just to weather the storm, but to emerge stronger. The vision is unapologetically ambitious. It is framed as a test of resilience, adaptability and national unity, and it is grounded in the conviction that Canadian workers and industries, when empowered, can not only survive global disruptions, but thrive in spite of them.